Politicians promise that tariffs will save jobs and strengthen domestic industry. But what if the exact opposite happens? What if trade wars end up hurting the very people they are supposed to protect? In recent years, the United States has introduced billions of dollars in new tariffs. Supporters call it economic patriotism. Critics call it a hidden tax on consumers. The Austrian School of Economics asks a much deeper and more fundamental question. How does the government even know which industries should be protected and which should not? How can a few politicians in Washington or Brussels possess the knowledge that millions of consumers and entrepreneurs discover every single day through the market? In 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act raised average tariffs to nearly 60%. World trade collapsed by 66% within 2 years. The Great Depression became dramatically worse. Today, in 2026, we are repeating the same dangerous pattern. In this video, we will analyze tariffs and trade wars strictly from the perspective of the Austrian School, Mises, Hayek, Rothbard, and the sharp insights of Roland Baader. No slogans, only clear principles and historical reality. The Austrian School of Economics is built on one central insight. Human action is purposeful. People act to improve their situation. Voluntary trade is one of the most important expressions of this. When two individuals trade freely, both expect to benefit. This mutual benefit is the engine of prosperity and civilization. Tariffs and trade wars deliberately interrupt this process. Eugen von Bohm-Bawerk, who also served as Austria's finance minister, was generally sympathetic to free trade and skeptical of protectionism. He believed that markets coordinate economic activity more effectively than political favoritism, and that governments should avoid granting privileges to particular industries through tariffs or subsidies. Ludwig von Mises demonstrated in his great works that the market is not a place, but a process of discovery and coordination. Governments lack the knowledge to direct this process successfully. Friedrich August von Hayek called this the pretense of knowledge, the fatal belief that central authorities can know what is best for the economy. Murray Rothbard was even more direct. He described tariffs as legalized plunder, a transfer of wealth from consumers and exporters to favored special interest groups. Roland Baader, one of the most important German-speaking representatives of Austrian thought, warned repeatedly, "Protectionism is the economic form of civil war." He also said, "Every tariff is an act of violence against the consumer and against the international division of labor." We are currently witnessing a dangerous global return to protectionism. The United States, China, the European Union, and many other nations are raising new barriers. This video will show why this path leads to lower living standards, higher prices, and reduced economic freedom. What tariffs really do? Tariffs are nothing more than taxes on imported goods. They make foreign products artificially more expensive for domestic buyers. At first glance, they appear to protect local jobs. In practice, they create a chain of negative consequences. Consumers pay higher prices. Businesses face increased production costs. Exporters lose markets when other countries retaliate. During the 2018 to 2019 trade war, the average American household paid an additional $800 per year because of higher prices on everything from washing machines to cars. Steel tariffs increased costs for American manufacturers, making their products less competitive internationally. When the US raised tariffs on Chinese goods, China responded by heavily taxing American agricultural products. Soybean exports from the United States to China fell by over 70% in some periods. Farmers who had built their businesses on free trade suddenly needed government bailouts. Historical lesson from Britain. In 1846, Britain repealed the Corn Laws and moved toward free trade. The result was one of the strongest periods of economic growth and rising living standards in British history. Real wages increased significantly. The opposite happened with Smoot-Hawley in 1930. More than 1,000 American economists signed a petition begging President Hoover not to sign the bill. He ignored them. Global trade collapsed by 66%. Unemployment in the U.S. reached 25%. Countries that raised tariffs the most suffered the deepest and longest depressions. From the Austrian perspective, tariffs are not just bad economic policy. They are a fundamental misunderstanding of how wealth is created. Mises explained that the international division of labor is one of mankind's greatest achievements. Every tariff reduces this division of labor and makes the entire world poorer, even if some small groups temporarily benefit. Hayek showed in his work, The Use of Knowledge in Society, that no central planner can ever possess the dispersed knowledge that exists in the market. Prices coordinate this knowledge. Tariffs distort these price signals and lead to massive malinvestments. Rothbard viewed any government interference in voluntary exchange as a violation of private property rights. He argued that the state has no legitimate right to prevent peaceful trade between consenting adults across borders. Roland Baader added a sharp cultural and moral dimension. He wrote, "Protectionism is the socialism of the right." He also warned, "Whoever believes that he can make his own nation richer by making other nations poorer is committing a fatal economic and moral error." Trade wars create uncertainty, destroy planning horizons, and turn productive energy into political lobbying. Companies spend more time in Washington or Brussels than in their research departments. This is the exact opposite of a healthy market economy. In 2025 and 2026, the world entered a new and more aggressive phase of protectionism. The United States significantly increased tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, semiconductors, batteries, and critical minerals. China retaliated with export restrictions on rare earth elements and agricultural goods. Europe responded with new carbon border adjustment taxes and industrial subsidies. The consequences are already visible. Global trade growth has slowed markedly. Supply chains have become longer, more expensive, and more fragile. Many companies are now practicing friendshoring instead of choosing the most efficient supplier. The IMF estimated in late 2025 that a further escalation of trade conflicts could reduce global GDP by between 0.8% and 1.5% per year. These are not small numbers. From the Austrian viewpoint, this is not clever strategy. It is a repetition of the same intellectual errors that turned the 1929 recession into the Great Depression. What led to the Great Depression starting in 1929? A decade of cheap credit, engineered by the Federal Reserve, had flooded the economy with money that felt real but wasn't. Businesses borrowed and expanded into projects that only made sense at artificially low interest rates. Stocks climbed. Everyone was a genius. Then came 1929. The correction was brutal, but by itself, survivable. What turned a crash into a catastrophe was the government response. In 1930, Congress passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, dramatically raising import duties to protect American jobs. It was logical on the surface, politically irresistible, and economically disastrous. Trading partners retaliated. Global trade collapsed by 66% within 3 years. The depression that might have lasted 2 years lasted 12. In short, cheap credit and the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act were important factors, but they do not fully explain the Great Depression. Most historians see it as the result of multiple interacting causes. Instead of allowing that pain to do its work, clearing out bad investments, repricing risk, restoring honest signals, governments reached for the oldest bad idea in the toolbox: make trade more expensive and call it protection. Governments believe they can control complex economic systems. History shows they cannot. The historical record is overwhelmingly clear. High tariffs and trade wars have never made nations richer or more secure. They raise prices, destroy export jobs, distort resource allocation, and reduce overall prosperity. The Austrian School offers a radically different and proven solution: unilateral free trade. Remove your own tariffs and barriers, even if other countries do not follow. Your own citizens will immediately benefit from lower prices, greater choice, and more efficient production. As Roland Baader so clearly stated, true economic patriotism does not mean isolating yourself from the world, but allowing your people to participate freely in the global division of labor. If Mises were alive today, he would recognize these headlines and remind us that economic freedom and peaceful cooperation cannot be separated. Trade is the economic form of peace. Trade wars are the economic form of conflict. The Austrian insight isn't that free markets are perfect. It's that interventions have a cost that gets paid later, with interest. Smoot-Hawley didn't cause the Great Depression, but it guaranteed that recovery would take a generation. Today's tariffs may not cause a depression either, but they are compounding existing distortions, disrupting the very trade networks that allowed global living standards to rise for 80 years. And, most dangerously, they are being justified with the same confident ignorance that filled the congressional record in 1930. In 2026, we face the same fundamental choice as in 1930: more government intervention and nationalism, or more economic freedom and cooperation. The evidence from theory and history strongly supports freedom. Thank you for watching this Austrian School analysis. What do you think? Do tariffs protect the economy or ultimately harm it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you value honest, principle-based economic education, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Catch you in the next one.